Hey guys, and a big welcome back. If you were with us last night for the first WTA finals live show coming from Riyadh, and I'm back, and I do have a guest with me. The guest with me, though, I'm going to ask if he can go on to mute because I can hear so much noise there, Mr. Digby, coming from your camera. I'm going to bring Mike in a minute. I just want to start us off by just giving a bit of an update, I guess, a little bit of an update of the day. And one second. Okay, yeah, there we go. I think we've got rid of the noise. This is the thing with live streaming, guys. These things happen. But just to give a little bit of an update, I guess. I gave you some insights into Riyadh and the WTA finals yesterday. But I guess the day today, my day is certainly a little bit easier than the players. And I think one of the things I'd love to share with you is just the unseen things that these players have to go through the day. And it's not just about turning up and hitting tennis balls. We were up early. I got up super early this morning. I wanted to get a kind of ahead of the curve. Now that we know the draws and we're starting to get the scouting reports, coming through, spending time watching the players, making sure that no stone is unturned. And then once we had breakfast, headed off to the courts, and we were in a bit of an earlier session this morning. Got a couple of hours on the practice courts. And again, like I said last night, just fantastic. The whole facility really is, it's exactly what you need and what you want, right? It really is. You all the balls you want. You go to these futures events and you're scraping around for a ball that's got any hair on it. And I feel almost a bit guilty. There I am with a box of brand new balls every session and almost every half session. So kind of no excuses. Lots of good work in with Gabby and Erin. We go through a lot of specifics with their games, but also game plans. And we've also got kind of general, I guess, day-to-day maintenance work that you do as doubles players as well, but all obviously very specific to their way of playing doubles. And then once that finished, to be honest, I didn't see a lot of the girls for the rest of the day. I managed to get a gym session in myself, rocked up into the player lounge, and I'm not going to share the conversations because it's not fair, but it's been lovely to see Ons Jabeur it's in town. I don't know exactly what she's doing here. I know she's been doing some social media bits. I saw her and Arina Sabalenka playing football with some of the Saudi kids. And it's quite a funny little Instagram. It's worth seeing on the WTA because Sabalenka missed the goal and managed to hit the camera lady smack bang in the head, who I think was the WTA camera lady. So it was all right. It didn't hurt too badly. But then it was just fascinating for me. I wasn't trying to listen, but you've got Sabalenka, Ons Jabeur, and then Garbine Muguruza, who's the tournament director here. And they're just talking, and they're talking away about various things, and for them to I guess to see those kind of characters coming together. Obviously, Ons is clearly a big favourite on the WTA tour, whether it's the marketing team, whether it's the court schedulers. Everyone's stopping to give her a big hug as well. I've then gone back, got lots of work done with Summer Tennis Academy, and also continued work with preparing for this weekend. But then the girls are off. They're trying on shoes. They're getting pedicures. They're getting their hairs done. They're having to speak to media. They've got player councils. They've got all sorts of things. And this is the top doubles players. I can only imagine what the singles players have got to do as well, because tomorrow everyone finishes their practice by 10 a.m. because it's their makeup day, and you see these beautiful pictures that come out from the WTA finals every year, and obviously a lot of time and effort goes into that. So that was one of my little parts of the day, was to go and collect a dress that had been refitted for Erin. So we made our way across Riyadh in rush hour, 45 minutes to get there, to pay a man $16 to get the dress that will now hopefully fit Erin Routliffe perfectly tomorrow. It was a bit quicker on the way back, 30 minutes. So not the glamorous life all the time, but when you see that picture, I've got a little small part to play as well. But yeah, another good day, getting closer to showtime. The stresses aren't too high yet. We've got a couple more days. But at this point, I want to bring in Mr. Mike Digby, and a big welcome, Mike. Great to have you with me.
Thanks, Dan. Good to be here.
And for those who don't know Mike, Mike is the current coach to Tamara Dzandzek, who was a former semi-finalist at Roland Garros at the French Open a few years ago, and also coach at Soto Tennis Academy. And you know, Mike's had lots and lots of experience. But Mike, WTA Finals week, first time in Saudi Arabia. You were back in the day, Shenzhen, in China, with Simona Halep as a hitting partner. So how was your WTA Finals experience?
Yeah, it was taking me back now. 2019 it was. So yeah, quite a few years ago. It was incredible. Just amazing to be around the elite of the elite, really, both singles and doubles. And I think it was when Ash Barty ended up winning the title. So it was incredible seeing her.
She was okay, wasn't she?
Yeah, she wasn't bad. She was okay. Yeah, she was pretty good. That backhand slice served her well. But no, incredible. The Simona Halep thing was amazing. But for me, if you kind of think about tennis as a whole, and I think what players look forward to and are working towards, for the full year, those elite players are always looking at, ATP finals, WTA finals. So for me to be able to be a very small part of that at the end of the year with a player, and I ended up doing a few practices as well with Sophia Kenin, who was an alternate actually that year. So an amazing experience, one that now I look back is also served me well as a coach. I think it's made you realise, the level that you need to try and achieve, and the dedication, and being able to be up close and around all those players was a pretty valuable experience.
And I was saying this last night. I was saying it kind of feels like the players have already won.
Yeah.
Because it's like the unwritten prize, right? To make it to the year-end finals, it's at the top of everyone's list. It's certainly at that level of the game. I don't think anyone can take that for granted. You take someone like Maria Sakkari, who was, she was in the finals last year. Obviously, had some health problems this year, hasn't made it. It's not something that just happens, and it's not necessarily something that comes along that often in certain people's worlds. And as we get a bit closer to the tournament starting, I think it will change slightly. But do you remember that? Because I was saying, out of all the tournaments I've ever been to, it feels like this is the one where all the players seem to be closest together. There seems to be more laughing, joking conversations, because it's quite intimate. And it's not this kind of zoo that we have at the Grand Slams. It's almost like there's a bit more sharing, and there's a little bit, especially in the week leading into the tournament. I don't know if that was your thoughts and feelings when you were back in China a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think it was interesting because I think you're coming from like that coach perspective, whereas I think as a hitting partner, you're quite, in many ways, you're quite removed from a lot of these things. But I guess in ways you've got a better oversight. I definitely remember it being a lot more relaxed, closer to the first matches. I remember all players, singles and doubles, kind of, being a little bit more friendly, shall we say, to each other, and having those odd conversations in the players' lounge, and even on court when they kind of pass by each other for practices. But I think that it got to maybe, I can't remember the day that it started, but maybe 24, 48 hours before, until you almost saw that momentum shift of, right, I'm going to get in my own zone now. I'm going to probably just keep myself to myself and my team. But it was definitely a lot more relaxed, and it's just less people around. So I think it's a little bit easier to feel probably a bit safer in that type of environment. Whereas if you take a Wimbledon, and the first 2 days of Wimbledon are just chaotic. So I think it's almost, you almost feel like you're trying to survive a little bit in those first couple of days. Whereas I think now, because there's that element of confidence I think people are walking around with, because there's that sense of belonging. They know they're here. So I think in many ways people drop their guard a bit because they're like, oh, well, we're all here. We're all here because we all had a really good year. So yeah, I think definitely. I think being a hitting partner, like I say, you can remove yourself and kind of have a bit more of like that overshadow of everything. And yeah, I mean, it was amazing to be able to see how Simona was acting and other players around that. So yeah, it was a really cool experience.
And hot news, when you do live streams, you get to celebrate things like Newcastle going 1-0 up against Chelsea. Get in, boys. That's just flown in on the phone. And I want to just move before we've got a few questions that people have asked. And please do keep your questions coming in. Saturday matches, I want to get ahead of the curve here. I don't want us to jump too far into the tournament, but I think the draw's it's always interesting. The top 8 players in the world. 2-0 Newcastle. What a team! I tell you, I should do more live streams.
I know, right?
But in terms of Arina Sabalenka, I think everyone's favourite for the title. We were having a little chat with her today. Actually, everyone's trying to work out the courts. Is it high bouncing? Is it low bouncing? It kind of is both. And one of the things she was saying to us earlier today was, you play against a Paulini who plays with a bit more spin, the ball's really kicking up, but you play against a Rybakina and the ball's skidding through. It's actually playing both. And it was interesting what she said to us today. She said, actually, people think that she loves quick courts. That's often the kind of talk. Sabalenka loves quick courts. Iga loves slow courts. Whereas actually she was saying, I'm not convinced that is what I love. I actually like a bit more time on the ball, a bit more than people realise. And we're going to see that because she plays in first match up on Saturday against the star from China, front cover of Vogue magazine, had a fantastic end to the year, obviously gold medalist in Qinwen Zheng. And they play kind of a bit similar, and I kind of have a concern there for Zheng that this is not going to be easy. Sabalenka's not a great matchup for her. I know they've played in some big matches at the back end of the year. How do you see that one going on Saturday?
Yeah, it'd be really, really interesting. It's almost, for me, again, it's interesting to hear what you say about the courts, but I think it's almost that first strike, isn't it? I think whoever can get that first strike in, I think it's probably going to end up coming out on top. It's really difficult to not see Sabalenka coming through that one, but Zheng's had an amazing year, made final of Australian Open, like you say, won the Olympic gold. I think she just won the title also in Tokyo. So coming in, probably feeling pretty good as well off recent success. So yeah, I would back Sabalenka. I do think if Sabalenka can get on the forehand early in the point, then it's really difficult to see Zheng maybe taking control. But the same thing, like you say, similar game styles. For me, that first strike is going to be so important, I think.
And whenever you say the first strike, I think that's what we think of Arina Sabalenka. You watch her practice, the intensity, the ball strike is incredible. She is adding in some little extra bits. I was watching her practice with Rybakina today. She was playing some drop shots. I know that's an area that she's bringing in. But I think that's a fascinating match. Let's see. It's arguably the two most informed players on the tour right now. And that's what this event throws at us. And then the second singles match, we've got Rybakina, who obviously we haven't seen for quite a while now. I don't know exact last tournament, but I know she wasn't at US Open, so it's going back potentially to Wimbledon, and then against the amazing Paulini, who, I mean, she was playing a couple of sets against hitting partners today, doubles. She's in the doubles as well. And where she's amazing is she's working hard at getting better at doubles. The doubles is not like a side thing. And she's got the big smile on her face, and she's incredible. And she's had what a brilliant year she's had. So I think this is an interesting one, Paulini, I think, and Rybakina. And I don't like Rybakina's chances. I'm not sure she's going to be ready. I think Paulini, again, is one of the informed players. It's not your first match back after being out for 3 or 4 months. You don't want to see Paulini at the other side of the net.
No, not at all. I think, yeah. I mean, Rybakina, like you say, hasn't played competitively in a long time. I'm sure she's been putting in a lot of good work on the practice court. I saw her practicing with Halep actually over in Dubai, I think, potentially last week. But Yeah, I would put again Paolini probably favourite here. The only thing I would say is indoor hard courts. Again, we talk about this first strike tennis with Rybakina. She can get on top early in the point. You never know, but I just think with how well Paolini has played this year, how consistent she's been. I was fortunate enough to watch a few matches of hers in Dubai at the start of the year and was so impressed. And you could kind of see there was a bit of a shift in belief, I think, from her, and you've seen that throughout the year. So I would, yeah, with Paolini's ability to take the ball early, hug the baseline, but also defend incredibly well, I'd again put her probably slight favourite.
And moving into the doubles, and obviously City as the coach of Gabby Dabrowski, Aaron Routliffe, who are in the white group, who start on Sunday. But we got some interesting matchups as well. We got first up, we got Sue Wei, the great Sue Wei, who has had just an incredible career, but also really an incredible last couple of years, up until probably the last 2 or 3 months. And she's playing with her partner, who will no longer be her partner, I believe, in 2025. They haven't played together since they lost in the first round at the US Open in Elise Mertens. What a great start to the year they had. And they come up against Melika and Perez, who were the finalists in the WTA finals last year. And I think there's a real contrast there. We've got the big servers, we've got the big hitters, we got the team that are looking to play what we traditionally know as doubles, right? The coming forward, taking the ball on, using their skills to try and finish at the net. And then you've got the wizard or the wizardess in Sue Wei and Mertens at the back of the court that are going to be trying to, change the patterns of play. They're going to be bringing in the lob. They're going to be bringing in all sorts of wizardry that makes it very challenging and neutralising the strengths of Melika Perez. How do you see that one going?
Oh, tough one. I mean, I would probably Perez and Melika, I think, have been so consistent. I mean, been an excellent pair over the last few years. Difficult one. I actually probably throw that back to you, Dan. I'm going to throw that back to you, Dan, and go, what do you think? You're the one working at the high end of the sport in the doubles. You probably have a lot more experience than me in this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I don't think I'd be making predictions. I don't think it's fair that I start predicting the doubles results. What I do expect to see is I expect to see a doubles match that club tennis players should watch. And and what I mean by that is, and I've worked in men's doubles, and men's doubles is not the doubles for club tennis players to watch, because it's so much about the serve, about finishing off, closing your territory. What you will see in that match on Saturday is you will see ball in play. And you'll see the ball in play. I believe that Sue Wei Mertens, they on average put about 87% of returns in play every match. So the unreturnables, now Melika serves big, Perez serves, got a great lefty serve as well. But they will be trying to get that ball in play. They'll be trying to get it overhead. You'll be trying to get the ball to bounce. They'll be trying to push them back to the baseline. They'll be trying to get them to do what they don't want to do. We're going to see a real tactical battle. And go back to the club players, that is how club doubles should be played. It's tactical. It's how are you taking away people's strengths? How are you using the lob? How are you finding a certain volley that maybe someone's not so comfortable on? How are you bringing a player into a position they don't want to be on the court? And I think that will be an absolute classic. I really do. And we don't know how much longer Sue is going to go for, but she's certainly a 1 in a million to be watching. So anyone gets a chance to watch that one. And then the night match, which actually, I have to be honest, I was not that we mind playing too late, but sometimes it can throw your week off. This match could be as late as 11 p.m. because they're starting the matches a little bit late here on the Saturday because of the opening ceremony. and we have a couple of real heavyweights in women's doubles right now, with the top seeds in Kitchenok and Ostapenko, the winners at the US Open, had a fantastic year, finalist in Australian Open, and then we got Siniakova. A lot of people don't mention Siniakova in these conversations, but she's 9-time winning women's doubles Grand Slam, Siniakova. This year she's won 2 Grand Slams with 2 separate partners, Coco Gauff at Roland Garros, and then she partnered Taylor Townsend, and gritting through my teeth to beat Dabrowski Routliffe in the final of Wimbledon this year. And then Siniakova, she amazes me. She won the 250 doubles last week. She's just keep on going. I think she's almost certainly tied up the world #1 spot for the end of the year. Incredible, all whilst doing that and whilst breaking into, I think, the top 30, 40 in singles as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the night match. It's going to be some big hitting. It's going to be a real interesting match to start off. And like I say, there's no easing into this event.
No, not at all. I think that's the beauty of these, this event, is both singles and doubles. Every match is almost the popcorn match, isn't it? Every matchup possible that you could put together, both, like I say, singles and doubles, is one that certainly for myself I get glued to the TV screen, because I absolutely love watching elite level tennis, and I think it's really, really interesting. And yeah, like you say with Siniakova, incredible, and you said incredible singles player to be able to do both. I think the same with Paolini, being able to, Paolini Irani, I think, won the Olympic gold as well. So
and Ostapenko obviously as well.
And Ostapenko, yeah. So there's I think that's such an amazing kind of contrast in ways to be able to do that at some of the biggest events, which are over 2 weeks. 2 weeks, if you go deep in singles and deep in doubles, it's a lot of matches. So, I think all matchups will be super, super exciting.
I think there's an interesting one here because Taylor Townsend's 68 in the world as well, singles.
Yeah.
She's had a great year, and it's
Very
actually, somebody told me this, and I don't know how true it is. If anyone out there wants to check this out, I've mentioned it on the podcast a few times, but when Gabby and Erin won the 2023 US Open, I was told in 92 Grand Slams, 23 years, it was the first time a women's only doubles team, and what I mean by that is that both players were outside top 100 or weren't actively playing singles to a high level, and were just focused on doubles. First time in 23 years that they'd won a Grand Slam. Wow. And I know it hasn't happened since. We take this year, the start of the year, Sue Mertens is a top 30 singles player. You then go Coco Gauff, Siniakova. You then go Townsend, Siniakova, and then you go Ostapenko and Kitchenok, who deserves a big shout out as well, because she's really worked at her game, and it'll be interesting because she's tried to really up her double skills and has done it very well. But arguably Ostapenko's the best tennis player on half a court in the world, in terms of how, certainly from the back of the court, she has a ball on the string, so players will and actively go after Kitchenok, because you don't want to give Ostapenko too much, certainly from the back of the court. So Kitchenok has massively stepped up to the plate, and I think it'll be very telling, because neither of those teams, I believe, have played together since the US Open either. So okay. It's going to be interesting how quickly they jump back in. So Saturday is when it starts. Great to have Mike on. We do have a couple of questions before we go. And the first question, I'll send it to you first. We're putting you on the spot. We've had a question coming in from Craig Evans, who said, "Who is your pick for the singles event?"
Oof. I'm going to go Sabalenka. I do think, I just think with the form that she showed the back end of the year, I could be mistaken, but I think she's won 3 out of her last 4 tournaments in Cincinnati, US Open and Wuhan. So whatever record that is, like 20 odd wins and 1 loss or something like that. It's really difficult to not pick her.
I'm going to go against you. And the reason I'm going to go against you is I think I think she's got to be tired. I think
Yeah.
she's, I think she's played a lot of tennis, and I think the one thing here in Riyadh is first match is Saturday, but the final's Saturday the following week. So you get to the point, she would have to play Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, which is quite an extensive schedule, really, for someone who has played a lot of tennis. And we have a certain Polish lady who is going to be pretty fresh. She's coming in. She's coming in. She's got a new team around her. She obviously had an incredible year as well. I just think maybe when push comes to shove, when we get to semi-finals and final stage, that maybe that little extra, maybe even mental freshness as much as physical freshness, will win over. But I do see the winner coming from one of those two. But I'll push the board out and say Iga Swiatek, and
Pretty good pick.
yeah, they're not bad. But I mean, let's not write any of the other six off, right? I think
Absolutely.
we've been there as well. Now, Mike, the last question actually that we've only got time for is I think this one's coming my way because it's what thing would you do to improve the venue or your experience there?
Good
Well,
question. Great question.
the first thing would be that Newcastle win this match and then get another home tie in the Carabao Cup. That does always improve my experience wherever I am in the world. And any fellow Geordies listening will know that. I think the big one. I think I'd like to hold fire on that question because I have a little inkling that I'm going to be disappointed on match days with the crowds, and I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that that's going to be wrong. I said this last night. I think the finals day will probably be a big event that's advertised and out there, but something tells me that the matches in the boxes won't be so well attended. And I think when we're talking about, I said this to someone today, the WTA finals is the biggest female only sporting event in the world. If we talk about in terms of fame, if we talk about in terms of prize money, we talk about in terms of marketable individuals. You see the Forbes top 10, it's always 8 or 9 tennis players. That you win this, it's I think 5.2 million if you don't lose a match. And I think if we can't get full stadiums for these incredible women, these incredible athletes, that's my preempt that will be my improvement. The second one, and it's a bit of a funnier one, maybe wasn't funny for me yesterday, more accessible toilets. And all of the teams and all of the players have their own dressing room with their own bathrooms. The coach's bathroom, the toilets were out of action. And I went looking high and low around the arena. I eventually found a staff-only toilet. I walked in and there was about 10 staff in there already waiting. So that is one that will go on my feedback form. Better toilets, more accessible toilets for coaches, even though I do thank them for giving us a locker room this time. Now, Mike, we're going to have to go. These are short, they're sharp. Thank you so much for joining us. Anyone that's been listening, thank you for listening. We will be doing this again tomorrow and every day for the next 10 days. 11 p.m. Saudi, 9 p.m. Central European time, 8 p.m. in the UK. And I guess that will probably be about 5 p.m. in America, if you're listening in America. I don't know if your clocks have changed, but listen out, get your questions in and we will be back. But until next time, I'm Dan Kiernan and we are Control the Controllables. 9 minutes over.
I mean,